Invoice automation and accounts payable automation are hot topics for many accounting and finance teams today. Invoice automation or accounts payable automation projects are usually started to improve accounts payable efficiency, reduce invoice processing errors, streamline the accounts payable and/or invoice handling process, and generally make a more effective and efficient accounts payable process. To ensure success, there are a few issues to consider. There are more than a few, actually. We'll discuss many of them in this piece. Make sure you stick around until the end when we discuss the one critical issue that many ignore, and it's the reason why so many automation projects fail. Hey guys, I'm Mary Schaefer, founder of AP Now, the place where you go for all the latest business intelligence if you work in, manage, or have responsibility for the accounts payable and/or payments function. Alrighty, so let's take a look at some of these issues that you need to consider when you're starting an automation project, when you're looking for a solution. Number one, compatibility with your current systems. Now, you want to make sure that the solution that you picked is compatible with your current accounting software. Now, as well as any other systems that you might use in your business that this is going to have to interact with. So, for example, it might have to interact with a system if you've got some technology to produce purchase orders. Now, most of the solutions on the market today will work with the major software packages. So this isn't a huge issue, but it's a simple one to check out, and you don't want to get it wrong because you'll end up with egg on your face afterwards. So just ask the question. Many of the service providers will have notes even on their website about which software they are compatible with, okay? So compatibility is an important issue. Now, next thing that we want to talk about is user friendliness. It's important that your automation solution is easy to use so your people won't have to spend a long time learning it. And equally important, neither will your suppliers. Now, when you talk to the solution providers, they're all going to say, oh, we're user friendly. So, nobody's going to say, oh, we're hard to use. So this is one of those things that when you're checking references, you need to ask about, or you can also look at some ratings online. They're all more user-friendly than they used to, but you want to make sure that you really have a high score on that, because otherwise you're not going to get the utilization that you want and you deserve. Okay. Now, you want to also focus on features. What features are important to you? And the one that I like to tell accounts payable folks now is that's very important is that you want to make sure the automation solution that you purchase, that you end up getting, has the ability to read invoices directly from email. Because when it has that ability, that means your vendors are going to have to make less changes, fewer changes to their processes in order to get their invoices into your solution. And the less changes they have to make, the better off you are. But you also might want to look and see what other features are important to you. Do you want any reminders? Do you go out? Does it have to integrate? What other systems and software that your company is using does it have to integrate with? Does it have is there a purchasing system? Of course, your ERP system. What about your payment process? Okay. Again, it goes without saying you want to have security. You want to have as strong a security in place as possible. And again, this is not something that you can ask the provider for, because again, if you ask them, they're going to say, oh, we have top notch, we have the best. So when you're checking references, this may be something that you want to ask about. You might also want to see if they've had any breaches. Okay, the next thing is pricing. We don't like to say that we're focused on pricing, and you certainly don't want to make pricing the primary issue when you select a new solution. But at the other end of the game, you have to be considerate of the budget. So you want to get one that's at least in line with the rest of the market. So if you look at 4, 5, 6, however many you look at, the one that you select should be in line. It shouldn't cost 2 or 3 times as much as the next one. If it does, you want to figure out why, and are you getting some increased functionality that will make that feature worth that additional price, whatever it is, will make it worth it to you. Okay, now, customer support. You want to make sure it has good customer support. both for you and for your suppliers who are going to use it, because inevitably there's going to you're going to come up, there's going to be a question, you're going to have something that you need to ask, and you want to make sure that you're going to be able to get an answer to your question, or you're going to be able to get some help with your issue in a timely manner. So you want to talk to them about customer support. Is it online? Is it 24/7? If it's not 24/7, is it 9 to 5 East Coast time, or is it 6 to 9 East Coast time? In which case, maybe you'll be covered. So you want to check that out. You want to make sure you have a good handle on what the customer support is. You might even, by the way, try calling the customer support, pretending to be either a customer or a supplier, to see how it is and is it acceptable to your standards. Okay, next thing we want to talk about is scalability. Now, a lot of times companies will intend to grow. They think they're going to grow. There's a merger, there's an acquisition on the horizon, and you want to make sure that the automation solution that you pick can scale, will be able to scale, and will be able to handle it, because you don't want to start with one system and then 18 months later have to switch to something else and learn it all over again. Even if you don't anticipate rapid growth, it's a pleasant surprise for your company if it has one. So talk about scalability. You don't want to purchase a solution that you're at the top end of what it can handle, because then even a little bit of growth will throw you over the edge. So talk about that, okay, with the service provider. Now, before we get to the last few, if you like this episode, please give us a thumbs up. And if you loved it, please subscribe. We produce new content for the channel 3 times a week. Payment and accounts payable issues are discussed every Tuesday and Thursday. And we hope you'll check out some of our older videos. We have about 300 of them on the channel right now. And we have some fun on Saturdays with Wordle. Okay, next issue that you want to investigate is the implementation time. Now, this, shouldn't be extensive. If you went back a number of years, people used to talk about 6 months, a year. That should all be out the window. The solution provider will probably tell you something like, 2 or 3 days, 2 weeks. Again, whatever they tell you, you want to make sure when you're checking your references that you ask, how long did the implementation take? If they told you 2 days and the reference told you it took a week, that probably would be acceptable, but you want to know what you're looking at before you go in there. Now, how much IT involvement will be required? The answer in most cases is very little. But rarely is the answer none. Sometimes you'll just have to get some information from IT and turn it over to them. But typically there will be some IT component, and you want to know how much, because you're going to have to go to the IT department and get an allocation of resources and time so that you can get the project up and running. And you want them to know, and be ready to help you. So it's also a good idea when you're starting to investigate that you kind of keep IT in the loop. And you're probably sitting there thinking, I don't want their input, that's a discussion for another time. But if you don't let them in until the last minute, and then there's a serious IT issue, like it's not compatible with your ERP system, you could end up wasting a lot of time, and then they'll be pissed off with you and you'll become low priority. So, you want to find out what IT involvement is required, and then make sure your people have, are ready for it, are expecting it, and have allocated some resources so that you can get going on that. Now, this is the biggie, and this is the one that kills a lot of projects, because people don't even consider it until, they're down the road and this is hitting them in the face, and they're not getting the utilization that's required. Will your suppliers have to do anything different? This, by the way, is why I made a big deal when we were talking about features, about having the ability to read from email. If your suppliers are going to have to change the way they operate, like, so for example, are they going to have to sign into a portal to deliver your invoices? It can be the kiss of death to a high utilization rate. If you're going to be happy with getting an invoice automation project and having 25% utilization, then this is not such a big deal for you. But if you are expecting, 90, 95, even 100% utilization, then make sure your suppliers are not going to have to learn how to do something different. Because at the end of the day, the answer is simple. A lot of them just won't. But there are ways that you can avoid this. And we took an in-depth look at this largely overlooked but killer issue a few months ago. You can watch that, and we did a video on it, by the way. You can watch that right now using the link that will appear momentarily on YouTube and is in your show notes below. As always, we appreciate your thumbs up, your shares, your subscribes, and your comments. Good luck.